Edgar Cayce warned that America would face a moment of soul crisis, a test so severe it could shatter the nation from within. Look around today. Could we already be living in the prophecy he left behind? But to see why his warnings matter now, we need to know the man behind them, Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet. Edgar Cayce was no politician or scholar. He was a simple man from Kentucky who, in deep trances, gave more than 14,000 readings that shocked doctors and ordinary people alike. He diagnosed illnesses with uncanny accuracy, spoke of past lives, and foresaw world events decades before they unfolded. He warned of the Great Depression, global wars, and even climate changes long before science had a name for them. But Cayce insisted he wasn't predicting a fixed future. He was revealing possibilities, choices humanity could make or ignore. And when he spoke of America, his words were clear: this nation would face a test unlike any other, not through armies or weapons, but through the soul of its own people. Edgar Cayce believed America was more than just a nation. To him, it was chosen for a higher purpose, to be a spiritual beacon, a light to the world. But that light, he warned, would only shine if America stayed true to justice, compassion, and faith. And here's the striking part. Cayce said if the nation lost its spiritual balance, it would not only stumble, it would become a land of confusion. Think about that for a moment. A land of confusion. Look around today: political division, cultural conflict, economic anxiety. The phrase doesn't feel like something written a century ago. It feels like a mirror being held up to our present time. Cayce's point was clear. America's destiny would never be measured by its wealth or its power, but by its soul. Every 30 seconds with Cayce came back to the same truth: America has a choice. It can be a light that lifts the world, or it can collapse into shadows of its own making. And this wasn't just about government or leaders. Cayce placed the responsibility on the people themselves: how they lived, how they treated one another, whether they chose unity over division. He believed that the fate of an entire nation could turn on the everyday choices of its citizens. And here's what makes this prophecy so unsettling. Cayce said America would face its greatest test when material success was at its peak. In other words, the danger would come not when the nation was weak, but when it was strong, when prosperity made people forget the deeper values that built the foundation in the first place. The real question isn't whether America has power. The question is whether it still has purpose. So, when Cayce called America a light to the nations, he wasn't handing out a guarantee. He was sounding a warning. A lighthouse only saves ships if its lamp is lit. And the prophecy that matters most today is this: America's survival and its role in the world depends not on its armies or its money, but on its spirit. And if that spirit falters, the confusion that follows will touch not just America, but the whole world. And if the spirit of a nation defines its destiny, Cayce warned, nothing reveals the cracks in that spirit more quickly than its money. Edgar Cayce spoke with unsettling clarity. If there is no spiritual balance, America's financial system will collapse like a house of cards. He wasn't talking only about numbers on a ledger. He was pointing to the soul of a nation reflected in how it handled wealth, greed, and justice. And here's the impact point: when money becomes God, collapse becomes inevitable. Look around today. The U.S. debt climbs past numbers the human mind can barely grasp. The dollar itself is questioned on the global stage, and the gap between rich and poor grows wider with every year. Cayce's words echo: a system built without balance will fall. This wasn't just a prediction for America alone. He insisted the ripple would be global. Europe, Asia, every continent would feel the tremors when America stumbled financially. And that's the second impact point: your life, wherever you live, is tied to this prophecy. when Wall Street shakes, pensions in Paris, savings in Berlin, and jobs in Madrid all feel the shockwaves, Cayce saw economics not as math, but as morality. But here's what makes his warning timeless. Cayce didn't say collapse was guaranteed. He said it was conditional. If America remembered the spiritual law behind money, that wealth should serve life, not enslave it, then the house of cards could become a foundation of strength. And this is the third impact point. Prophecy is not punishment. It is a chance to choose. So, as we consider his words today, the question is not only will America's economy survive, but what values will shape it? Because Cayce believed that even the greatest empire cannot outrun the law of spirit. And if you feel the weight of these words, pause and tell me, do you see the warning signs already unfolding? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this message resonates, give this video a like so more people can reflect on it with us. Yet Cayce warned that even greater than financial collapse was a deeper fracture not in banks or markets, but in the heart of the nation itself. Edgar Cayce spoke with haunting simplicity. A nation divided within will stand in peril without. He saw division not as a side effect of politics, but as a spiritual disease that could hollow a nation from the inside. And here's the first impact point. If unity dies, strength dies with it. Think about the America of today. Political gridlock, endless cultural battles, protests spilling into the streets, even families torn apart at the dinner table by ideology. Cayce described it perfectly when people stop seeing each other as human beings and start seeing only enemies. The very soul of a nation begins to crumble. That's the second impact point. Division is not politics, it's the breaking of trust. And this wasn't just about America's government. Cayce insisted that every quarrel, every hardened heart, every refusal to listen added weight to the scales of destiny. A divided people invite their own undoing. What's more, division weakens not only the nation itself, but its place in the world. Here's the third impact point. A house at war with itself cannot lead the world with peace. Cayce never left people without hope. He believed healing begins where listening begins, when individuals choose to see beyond party lines and return to the deeper law of spirit. For him, unity wasn't about everyone agreeing. It was about remembering that the soul is greater than any label. And the final impact point prophecy is not fate, but a mirror showing us who we are and who we could be if we choose differently. So, let me ask you, do you feel these divisions growing around you? Not just in America, but across the world. Share your perspective in the comments. Your voice matters in this conversation. And if you believe Cayce's warning speaks to our time, give this video a like so it reaches others who need to hear it. But Cayce warned that even division in politics was only a symptom of something deeper, a crisis not of laws or leaders, but of the human spirit itself. Cayce once said, "America will have many churches, but few will hold the spirit." On the surface, this seems puzzling. How can a nation overflowing with faith communities lack true spirit? And here's the first impact point. Ritual without heart is emptiness. Look at the reality today. Churches still stand, but pews are empty. Young people are walking away from traditions that no longer speak to them. Many are searching, not for dogma, but for authenticity, for something that touches their soul. That's the second impact point. A spiritual crisis isn't about losing religion. It's about losing meaning. Cayce described this as a test of the soul. He believed America's greatest danger would not be foreign powers or financial collapse, but the slow erosion of its inner compass. A society can survive war or recession, but it cannot survive the loss of its own soul. Here's the third impact point when a nation forgets spirit. It forgets itself. And yet, Cayce also gave hope. He taught that renewal was always possible, but only if individuals turned inward, remembered their connection to the divine, and lived by love rather than fear. Healing doesn't begin in parliaments or stock markets. It begins in the heart of a single person who chooses truth. The fourth impact point, every soul that awakens tips the balance toward renewal. So let me ask you, do you feel this spiritual hunger in the world today, a longing for something deeper than politics, money, or rituals? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you believe this message is timely, give this video a like so together we can spread Cayce's wisdom further. Cayce warned that when a nation loses its spirit, even the earth itself begins to tremble in response. Cayce spoke often of earth changes, describing floods, storms, and shifting coastlines long before the words climate change existed. He warned that humanity's inner imbalance would echo in the natural world around it. And here's the first impact point when the soul is out of harmony. Creation itself cries out. Look at the America of today. Wildfires sweeping across the West, hurricanes striking harder and more often, rivers running dry while oceans rise at the coasts. These aren't just random acts of nature. Through Cayce's lens, they are mirrors, reflections of a society that has forgotten its sacred connection to the earth. That's the second impact point. Nature doesn't punish, it reveals. He even predicted that coastlines would shift, that whole communities could vanish beneath the sea if humankind refused to change course. At the time, these warnings sounded impossible. Yet today, cities face flooding, islands shrink, and scientists warn of tipping points beyond repair. Here's the third impact point. Prophecy becomes reality when warnings are ignored. But Cayce was never only a voice of doom. He insisted that Earth responds to consciousness, that healing the planet begins with healing ourselves. If people live in balance, honor creation, and walk in love instead of greed, the Earth itself will reflect that harmony. The fourth impact point, every act of care is an anchor against collapse. So, let me ask you, when you see fire in the forests, storms on the coasts, and drought in the rivers, do you see only disaster, or do you see the earth speaking to us? Share your perspective in the comments below. And if you believe Cayce's words still matter today, give this video a like so others can hear this call to awareness. Yet Cayce's vision was never only about disaster. He believed that even in the midst of storms and division, America carried a higher destiny, a calling that could change the fate of the world. Cayce often called the United States the hope of the world, but he made it clear that hope was not in weapons or wealth, but in values, compassion, justice, and the courage to live by spirit. Here's the first impact point. America's true power was never meant to dominate, but to inspire. Imagine what this means. A nation so influential, not because of its armies or its markets, but because it leads with love. Cayce saw America as a lighthouse in the darkness, a place where spiritual principles could guide human progress. That's the second impact point. Destiny is not found in might, but in meaning. He warned, though, that this destiny was conditional. If America lost its way, the light would dim and the world would stumble with it. But if it remembered its soul, it could help ignite a global awakening. For Cayce, America was never isolated. Its choices would ripple into every nation. Here's the third impact point. The soul of one nation shapes the soul of many. And this is where hope enters the story. Cayce believed America could rise again, not through politics, but through people, ordinary citizens choosing kindness over greed, truth over deception, and unity over fear. The fourth impact point: the future belongs not to governments, but to awakened souls. So, let me turn to you. Do you believe America can still live up to this higher calling, to be more than an empire, to be an example? Share your answer in the comments below. And if this vision resonates, give this video a like so we can keep spreading Cayce's message of hope. But Cayce's vision was never just about nations and leaders. His words were meant to land in the heart of each listener. Because prophecy, at its core, always comes down to one question: what does this mean for us today, right now? When we hear Cayce speak of America's destiny, it's tempting to think only of governments, presidents, and policies. But he was clear the fate of a nation begins with the soul of its people. And here's the first impact point: collective destiny is built on individual choices. Look at our world. When greed drives one man, it can topple a company. When millions choose greed together, it can unbalance an entire economy. In the same way, when one heart turns bitter, a family suffers. But when millions harden their hearts, a society fractures. That's the second impact point: every small act echoes on a larger stage. This is why Cayce never spoke only to politicians. He spoke to ordinary people, workers, mothers, seekers, because he knew the greatest revolutions begin in the unseen decisions of daily life, whether we choose compassion over cynicism, service over selfishness, truth over lies. The third impact point prophecy is not about predicting the world we inherit, but shaping the world we create. And here's where the message becomes personal. Many of us feel powerless in the face of global headlines, wars, markets, politics. But Cayce would remind us, the real battlefield is the human heart. Every time you choose to forgive, to listen, to give instead of take, you tilt the balance of destiny. The fourth impact point: the smallest soul awakening can shift the weight of history. So, what does this mean for you? It means you are not a spectator. You are a participant in the very prophecy unfolding now. Cayce's words weren't written for dusty archives. They were meant for living people in living times. For you, for me, for all of us. And the final impact point prophecy is never the end of the story. It is an invitation to write a new one. So let me ask you directly, when you look at today's world, do you see collapse, or do you see the chance for renewal? Share your perspective in the comments below. Your voice matters more than you think. And if you believe Cayce's wisdom is needed in this moment, give this video a like, so together we can carry his message further. And if every prophecy is an invitation to act, then Cayce's final word for us is simple. The future of America and the future of our world is not sealed. It is waiting for the choices we make now. When we step back and look at the picture, it becomes clear many of Cayce's warnings are unfolding right before us. Division, economic uncertainty, and a spiritual hunger that no wealth can fill. Here's the first impact point. Prophecy is not about fear, it's about recognition. Cayce never said a nation was doomed. He said renewal was always possible if its people returned to the source of love, justice, and truth. The path is narrow, but it is not closed. That's the second impact point. No destiny is final until we choose it. And perhaps this is the heart of Cayce's vision, that nations rise and fall, but souls endure. America's role may be great, but each person's role is greater still, because collective futures are built one decision at a time. Here's the third impact point: history shifts when people awaken. So now I ask you directly, do you believe America is facing the very prophecy Cayce warned about? And more importantly, Do you believe it can rise to its higher calling? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective adds light to this conversation. And if this journey has sparked something in you, give this video a like so Cayce's wisdom can reach others searching for answers. The final impact point prophecy is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of our responsibility. And this is just the start. In our next journey, we'll explore Cayce's warnings not about America, but about the future of Europe itself, and why he believed the next great turning point may unfold there.